So I went on date night with Beck, who's in the background there. You can just see her. Hey. We went out for a date. It's been a while since we've been able to spend some quality time together. So he got home pretty late, and because of that, I didn't record yesterday's episode. But luckily, today was pretty bloody boring, and so I'm gonna just recap yesterday first. So the early start, man. For the last, I know I've been harping on about it, but Sterling has been giving us a good run for our money during the night, and both this morning and yesterday was pretty hectic. So Beck's been doing a good job. She's a lot more patient, although I've seemed to have lost the touch. I cannot. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I haven't. What do you reckon, Jet? Have I?
You don't try new things.
What?
I just hope you you try new things, like new
Oh.
positions with him.
Really?
Yeah. But you persevere with him.
Yeah, interesting. That's okay. So if you couldn't hear, she said she doesn't feel like that I try new things with him, but I persevere with him. So maybe that's just emblematic of men. Maybe we just keep kicking down the wall until it happens. And yeah, I've certainly not enjoyed the last few days. And anyway. So that's it. Just led itself to some pretty shitty starts in the morning, and I'm very surprised that you're not needing naps in the arvo either, babe.
That's why we have a coffee shop.
That's why I've got a coffee shop.
Drink.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think this will be the last episode in this current format, and then I am going to start splitting the episodes. So I'm going to have a private playlist where I can genuinely get all my thoughts out. I can, name drop people's names and, actually document life in real time for both myself and my family to review when appropriate. And and just be really explicit about all the details that are involved, and that feels really good. So yes, I think I'm going to be doing that from here on. So today will be the last episode that I do that, and so that feels good. I spent most of yesterday and pretty much all of today building out a bit of a presentation to run through our team. So I'm pretty much I've already made the decision. It's just a matter of how we do it now and structuring it in the right way so that the business succeeds while the team are also succeeding. And I can see that there's going to be pitfalls if we're not intentional around it. So you've been and then obviously making sure we're communicating in a way that makes sense for both a very young audience, because we do have a pretty young demographic in our workforce. And also in a way that they understand how it works and they understand the finances and all that sort of thing. So I know it's not going to be a one and done. I know it's going to be a process, and for the most part, a process of mentoring our entire team through it. But what we're going to be doing is we are going to be opening the books to our team, and we're going to be running the business open book, and part of that, it doesn't just mean that, okay, guys, see how much we're making. I'm a big believer that rising tides should lift all ships, and as we succeed, we're at the point we wouldn't want to be drawing any less from the business. But when we absolutely, 100%, I'd love to be drawing more from the business. But we don't really need any more. We're at I mean, everyone's going to say this, right? That they wouldn't have any less. I'm sure if we had less, we'd be able to make do. But we certainly wouldn't want any less, just with with 4 kids and the mortgages and cars and insurances and bills and all that sort of thing. And we all know how it's going. So, but I also really want our team to thrive and succeed. And so what I want to do is make it really transparent for them and have them understand exactly how their actions correlate to the profitability of the business. So there's a whole methodology and philosophy around it all called the Great Game of Business. A guy named Jack Stack started it over in the States, and this is back in the 80s, and it got incredible results, and now it's developed himself into this whole philosophy, and it's just kind of gone and done its own thing. So it seems to me like this way of like running business really seems to align with our philosophies really well, and yeah, so I'm excited for it. There's a very small group of people who seem to like implement the strategies in businesses in Australia, and so I've got a call with a lady named Sue tomorrow to go over that, and we'll contract them for a few, I don't know, probably weeks, I would imagine. I've read a few books and around that. So yeah, so we're going to be working with her to implement or I guess get things going, and then we'll have her available and I guess as a consultant around the implementation of the strategies. Yeah, so that's really cool. Very funnily, I had 3 people message me about the last episode, talking around the I mean, I guess different aspects, but it's amazing religion. Hey, it's such an interesting topic because it always gets it's a good, maybe sometimes a controversial conversation starter, but it was good. For the most part, it was around. Oh, that's right. Our motivations for following what's in the Bible and following what God says, and I maintain that for the most part we do things because we're selfish. But selfish doesn't. I think there's good selfishness and bad selfishness, and I think that the zero sum approach where it's like I get my needs or I want what I want, and it comes at the expense of someone else. I think that's bad. But do I believe that there's enough to go around? Yeah, I do. And do I believe that I can get what I need and it doesn't cost someone else? Yeah, I do. Others might disagree, and you're totally fine. Happy to have that deep conversation with someone if they really wanted to dive into it. But I think that the zero sum game mentality is just a race to the bottom for everyone involved, and I don't see religion as being any different. And I think that people inherently are motivated for what they gain out of it, and if some people might be at breaking point and see, committing their life to God or something, or adopting another religion as a way out of that breaking point, and that's that. It's a selfish gain, albeit a positive thing, but it's still motivated by selfish, I guess, outcomes. And again, I don't think that's bad. I think that there's a good selfishness and a bad selfishness, but so that was interesting. We had a few good conversations around that yesterday. I was able to jump on on the phone. This is something really valuable. Just going back to the open book management, to a bloke over in Darwin he's been running the business pretty open book, and he officially really adopted the whole philosophy in October. So still pretty new, but even he was saying, he's like, yeah, we've seen massive uptick in the efficiency and the performance of the business, and so that was really cool. And so I spent nearly an hour and a half on the phone to him, and just hit him with all my questions and concerns around doing this and doing that, and it was great. And the one thing that I really liked about the conversation we had wasn't that it was, this is a silver bullet. Fundamentally, he was saying, open book management is a communication tool, because everybody sees how their actions correlate to the bottom line, and it opens the lines of communication for people to address things that need to be addressed, to raise things that need to be raised, to make changes, and everyone's got buy-in. I was going, okay, well, I can see that. That's really valuable. The other thing he said as well, he's like, you might implement it and find that it's actually not suited to your business. And I was like, okay, to have that pragmatic sort of approach rather than just You find people who they come across a new whiz bang thing, and then that's the best thing since sliced bread, and everyone should do it, and this, that, and the other bit, and you're just like, man, chill. So it was cool that he was pragmatic about it and still advocated for it. And I think this is the other thing that I really love about the business community is that here's someone, I don't really know how old he is, but he I could tell from his voice that he's got a lot of years of experience. And and the thing I love about business community is here I am. I messaged him. I got his number, and I messaged him, and within 2 to 3 minutes, I had a reply, and he said, "Yeah, happy to talk now if you want." So I jumped on the phone, and we just talked, and we talked, and he talked, and he was more than happy and he didn't gatekeep any information, and I love that about the business community. Hey, so that was really cool. Yeah, I really enjoyed that conversation. I got a lot out of it. So yeah, so I worked on the finances presentation a bit longer, and then we shot out to for date night, which is the first date night we've had probably since before Sterling. Hey, yeah. So that was really cool. And there a couple of times in the last few weeks where we've kind of felt like we're at the end of our tether with each other. I would say. Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Glad it's not just me. If there's one thing that I love about our relationship is that whenever we're at each other, that we need to spend more time together rather than time apart. And it's exactly what happened last night. We went out to Cambalda, went out to the was it the Nickel Bar, or the Cambalda Hotel. And we got a bottle of wine, and I didn't eat all day, so that I was able to eat and drink with my wife. And and it was really good. Just kind of touching base, and we don't really have a particular structure to it per se, but we always ask Beck, how do you feel like you're going, and it was really cool. I know one thing Beck said was that she realizes that she'd been feeling really good about being a mum and how she's showing up as a mum, and I've really loved that. And something else you said what I really enjoyed was you were talking about the homeschooling and how you're feeling like you're almost ready for homeschooling, and realizing it's a lot easier, rather than being this big, like, hairy, daunting thing you got to prepare for and stuff, and it's more of a natural sort of occurrence.
Yeah, it's an everyday thing, and just take the most of the opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. And just realizing that, like, you learn in everything. What was it that you were saying with the maths?
Lexi sold her lucky dips.
That's right.
And she made $2.
Yeah, that's right. So Lex, while I was out doing some stuff, Lex sold these lucky dips, and so she made $2, and then that was an opportunity to do maths, and so they did maths, and it's like, and it doesn't mean that it takes away from the need to actually understand maths, but to realize that you learn anyway. Like, people are learning machines, just permanently learning, and to realize that homeschooling and learning and education's a lot easier than having to, like, build an entire curriculum out and all this like burden of education, you could even say. I would imagine that we'd still probably. You reckon we'll still use the curriculum?
Don't know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I know friends of ours, Ruben and Ash, they were probably, when we really first started, really at the start of the year, seriously considering it and starting to go, okay, we need to start planning it. We had a great conversation with them, and and she's a teacher, and I guess left her teaching career, and now I'm actually not sure what she does, but nonetheless, they're very dedicated with their son, and it's really cool. It's really cool to see that, and their approach is very Montessori, you could say. Yeah, very Montessori. So that was really cool. Another thing I was thinking yesterday, which was on the back of going to the kids' party with Tilly the other day, was the man, like my life is just so much at home, with the family and working on the business all the time, and I'm in a very, very small bubble, which I do like for some reasons. There are things that I really like about that. But also realizing that, man, the value of being able to get out and sounds so hermitish, of have conversations with people and stuff again. Like it really stimulated a lot of conversation, a lot of thought that I like. It was really good. It was really good. There was a lot of like conversation and thought that was provoking, and I've kind of missed that over the last few weeks. Post bub, and yeah. So it sounds so like trivial, but to kind of realize that, man, I've been missing out on this like human interaction. It's pretty funny. Yeah. So it was good. And I think another thing that I was thinking recently was around how do we raise resilient kids? I feel like parenting up until probably our generation has been much the same. Like I think it's probably like the breakneck speed of technology is just amplifying everything in nonstop. But I feel like our grandparents' parents parented very similarly to our grandparents, to our parents, and now it's kind of like it seems like it's just all of a sudden just 180 bang. And maybe not, maybe I'm only seeing it from my perspective, but it just seems like all the rules of, like gentle parenting now, and whereas before, before it was like, hey, you're out of line, crack, and it's such an easier way to parent and discipline and everything else. But, long term wise, I think it's definitely up for debate. Yeah. But then it's around this resilience. It's like, well, how, and the way this came about was, it was on my socials. This guy was saying how him and his kids were headed down to their mate's place for a play date or something, and he's got two kids, and they were walking 2 miles because it's in the States, and he's like, oh, let's turn it into a workout. So they grabbed some kettlebells and they did these farmer carries down there for 2 miles, and his kid's like 7 or 8 years old, and sorry, his kids at the ages of 7 and 8. One did the Boston Marathon, the other one did the New York Marathon. And I'm going, how do you get these kids at those ages? Like, Lexi's my oldest. She's 7 next year. How do I get her to run a marathon? Like last time I did park run with her, she wanted to do like about 100 meters, and then it was just about hanging out with dad. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, yeah, I don't know. Obviously, there's an element of the parents actually like embodying that and displaying that, but still, yeah. So I don't know. That's a question I'd like to dive into, and sooner rather than later. Yeah. So yeah, that's that. It's the end of my story.